do 800 crores of CapEx. It might end up that like we end up doing that much, but like let's not call it an announcement. So anyway, so that's the first question, I guess.
Yeah. So, sir, let's say you're going to do, but some amount of capex is expected, right? So for this year. So just wanted to know how it's going to be funded.
See, broadly, it's going to be a mix of like vendor financing, debt, and internal accruals, and potentially some amount of equity raise.
Okay. So, sir, any figure you'd like to give on the capex side for FY25, looking at the economic scenario?
Sorry, I didn't understand.
Like you said, 800 crores capex is not fixed as of now. So, any figure you'd like to give?
It could be more, it could be less. Like, I mean, like, so we are very, very flexible. So this is no longer the environment where you had to wait for hardware for like 6 months. So you had to like really plan ahead. We used to do a lot of just in time in the past. And the planning cycle for us, like we can drastically shorten it to like about 6 to 8 weeks as opposed to having like a 6 month or 12 month kind of planning cycle now.
Okay. And so second question is on the MRR side. So I think you have told like you will do MRR of around 14 to 16 crores for FY25, if I'm not wrong. So if we see in Q1, I think we have done MRR of around 13.5 CR. So how are we looking at coming quarters? Will coming quarters be more like towards 15, 16, or what's the number you'd like to give?
I wouldn't like to give any number. Like we are never in a habit of giving any guidance for next quarter or next to next quarter. Like so, we are talking about like next 3 quarters. So we'll simply have to wait and see.
Okay. Okay.
Also, I would like to correct you that like the MRR for June is not 13.5. The MRR for June is about 14.5.
Okay. Okay, sir. I think that's it from my side. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Pratik Chaudhary from Samarthya Capital. Please go ahead.
Sir, am I audible?
Yes, Pratik. Can you speak a bit louder?
Yeah. Is it better now?
Slightly better.
So for the as you said that June MRR is roughly 14.5 crores. Does that largely mean full utilization of the 450 AI H100 units that you have?
I would say about about 90-95% utilization
for that MRR.
So we still have like additional inventory available. So to the extent that like this is about at about 90-95% of the utilization.
And, in your rough assessment, how much? What is the kind in terms of number of H100s or similar such devices required? What would be the India requirement? Coming along in the next 1 or 2 years?
These are all wild guesses ultimately, because like in the sense that like when you start seeing the industry reports, by that time like all estimates like are based on the actual numbers. So like India in a way follows the developed market. So we are very, very hopeful that like what we are seeing in the developed markets, like India will also see that. Like, and especially true because the gap in India in terms of processing capability is far higher. Like, I think like you can't predict like what will happen like in a quarter or what will happen in 2 years, but like we are very, very hopeful of a very bright future for cloud GPU industry in India based on the fact that what we are seeing in the developed markets today.
And are we also in a position to target international markets in a significant way? And is that already happening for the current GPUs?
Yes. That is already happening. So in the sense that like essentially this is a business of solving problems. So like we are already seeing like some level of traction outside India as well.
What roughly what percentage of your AI GPUs would be deployed for overseas customers?
So it would be premature to comment based on, say, 1 quarter or so. But like, I think if we could predict it, like it would be like over a year, I think would be somewhere between, say, 25 to 30%.
Wow, that's a great number. And what's the pricing difference as of now vis-a-vis your international competitors for the same GPU AI?
So Indian customers and international customers pay the same.
No, for your the price that the competitors offer, your international competitors, what is our roughly percentage?
There is never a 1:1 price comparison because there is always like tremendous difference between features of one provider versus the other. So there would always be providers who charge like almost like 5x of what we charge. There would always be providers who charge like maybe even 25-30% less than what we charge. So we are like never the lowest priced compute provider out there, like because like we have like a whole set of features that we have built and capabilities that we have built. Also, the pricing depends a lot on a lot of things in the way in which a customer typically consumes the compute resources. So it's not like it's never an apples to apples comparison when you say that like one GPU versus one GPU, what are you paying at provider X versus provider Y?
Just last 2 questions. There was an announcement that B100 would be, coming in some time, and the difference in terms of compute, which I read was it's almost 2.5 times better with only 25% increase in cost.
See, again, when you talk about software, like these are like very, very absolute numbers. So like the difference could be 25x for modern software built with modern techniques of that era in the future. The difference could be as low as like 1.3x for all you know and care. So like you can't kind of like place a theoretical number and say that like, okay, like this is the projected theoretical number. So based on this theoretical number, this is by what number the compute has advanced. So a lot depends on like the software stack which is being run, and the ability of the customer to kind of like derive the benefits also depends on how much they are willing to invest into re-architecting their software to make use of the new hardware that gets delivered in the future. So it's never cut and dry that way.
And so basically my question stems from...
Sorry to interrupt you, sir. I request you to come back for a follow-up question. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, in order to ensure that the management is able to address the questions from all the participants, please limit your questions to 2 per participant. Thank you. The next question is from the line of Kishji Saraf from Tusk Investments. Please go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon. Many congratulations on the great results. I wanted to move, just zooming out a little bit, how is the market shaping up in terms of you making the wrappers around providing the GPU and obviously the competition at the overall level when we look at it is increasing, yes, but at the same time you mentioned there is no one provider and there is no vanilla solution as such. So just some color on how you're differentiating or what are the use cases that you're building as we go along?
We are very focused on natural language processing and computer vision and their equivalents in the generative AI world, which is the LLMs and diffusion-based models. And apart from that, like of course, like we will continue to fill the gap in supporting like newer workloads. Now, essentially, the way to look at this business is not from the lens of asset monetization, but from a software platform perspective. So as long as like you keep building a software platform which serves the needs of the customers will continue to use the platform. So that's the whole idea behind the business.
Okay, understood. So in this software part only, how are we trying to sort of stay ahead? I mean, is it Is there a plan that you guys have in place, or because the situation is rapidly changing, you're just trying to make sure that you have the software updated in terms of the updated use cases, the requirements that are coming up?
Yeah, so we obviously have a very active development team which continues to release features like every couple of weeks. And every quarter, like, we make a lot of progress in terms of like what we are doing for our entire cohort of customers, based on the learnings that we get from our interactions, both from industry experts, our customers, and what is the state of the art is ongoing in the AI ML community in general.
Got it. I'll get back in the queue. Thank you so much. All the best.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you. The next follow-up question is from the line of Pratik Chaudhary from Samarthya Capital. Please go ahead.
Were there any one-offs in our quarter one results?
Sorry, I didn't get your question.
Were there any expenses that we capitalized in Q1 FY25?
I'll let Megha answer this question. It seems like a finance question.
No, there are no expenses which have been capitalized.
Okay. And okay, thanks a lot. I'll get back to you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Abhishek from ABC Capital. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Am I audible? Yes, Abhishek ji, please go ahead.
First of all, congratulations on the numbers. Great set. Secondly, my first question is, you had given guidance of approximately 40% revenue growth year on year for the medium term. So in this year, will you be doing any upward guidance? Will you upward it, the guidance?
Like I said, that like we don't usually give any guidance. So broadly, what happens is that like that is usually the interpretation of the people asking the question. So in an ideal world, like you don't know what is going to happen, like in the next quarter and next to next quarter. Like so, like the cloud business, like obviously is not a business of consistency at like very small scale. So ultimately, we'll have to always look at the past and predict the future.
Okay, thank you. Another question is, are the promoters thinking of selling any stock in the near future, like in the near future?
See, again, like you're asking me to predict future, but broadly, like whatever we do, we'll obviously inform the exchange and inform everyone.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Aditya Trivedi from Nityan Capital. Please go ahead.
Hi. Congratulations on an excellent set of results. One question I had was that the approximately our ARPU quarter on quarter has gone up as much as 48%. So if you could just give us a breakdown of what you attribute that to, as well as what the client addition has looked like for the quarter.
See, basically, from a customer perspective, like we have the kind of like, although we do not like really differentiate as a very small company between the customers, but like what we have seen is that like the larger customers have grown for us in terms of like where we have added the revenue, and this is primarily driven by the cloud GPU side of workloads for typically like AI ML kind of like workloads.
And in terms of client addition, how many more clients have you added this quarter in terms of new clients?
So we don't really like kind of like in the new cloud GPU world, like we're basically like we don't really count the customer addition, but like the amount of workloads we have added. Because we have moved away from the era of like trying to select a lot of like small customers. So we are moving towards like kind of like higher ARPU customers. So like broadly in terms of your numbers, I don't think we have seen any significant addition in terms of the overall expansion of the overall number of customers that we have. But what we have seen is that the new logos on the top end of the revenue, like, they have increased.
All right. And also in terms of customer concentration and revenue, what percentage of your top 10 customers would you attribute to the current revenues?
See, this is again like a dynamic number. Like in this quarter, probably the concentration would be higher than usual. So top 10 customers might have gone up by all the way compared to previous quarters to say 45-50%. On the other hand, like, this is a number that should be looked at in retrospective at the end of the year rather than on a single quarter basis, because like the cloud GPU workloads are typically like bursty workloads where a single customer might come up with like a short burst of like large amount of compute usage, and next quarter that customer might be kind of like significantly lower than this quarter.
And one final question from my end. In terms of CapEx,
I request you to come back for a follow-up question.
Sure.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Rakshit, an individual investor. Please go ahead.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask about the capex spend for this quarter. It seems to be about 23 crores. So is it a reflection of the demand that you are seeing? As you said that you plan for around 6 to 8 weeks lead time is required. So the number seems a little lower than the last couple of quarters. So that was my question.
So again, like, it's kind of like you're also looking at like the tail end of like having like done a massive expense in the Q4 of the last year. So in that sense that like we built like a lot of capacity during that era. So obviously like will not be consistent like every quarter. So it depends on like local minimas and local maximas in many ways.
And what do you think? Do you have an estimate for this quarter at least? Like not for the entire year, but like for this quarter?
No, we don't do like this quarter, next quarter, like those kind of estimates. We do not like give any sort of guidance on calls.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Nishant Joshi, an individual investor. Please go ahead.
Hello, sir. Nishant here. Sir, I have two queries. First of all, are we participating in any bidding with the government? Because as we have been enrolled with the MeitY.
Currently, we are not participating in any bidding with the government. So we look at like the government business in three different ways. So one is like where we want to support our MSME partners who typically kind of like generate business from the GEM portal. So on a case-by-case basis, we want to work with those MSME partners. It's only been like less than a month since we got certified by MeitY. So like it's very, very early to say like what sort of business we will be able to generate over there. Now the second part is where we will start evaluating like where there is a very good match between our and those kind of workloads when they come about in form of like requirements from the government, where like we are a good match in terms of size and capability. So that is something that will happen over like next like I would say 18-24 months. So we are looking at a medium term over there. And the third possibility is that like where our capabilities are usable in conjunction with someone else who has like other capabilities which they can combine with our capabilities, and then like we can jointly go with those kind of partners. So again, like all these three things are like far enough in the future for me to comment on them today.
Okay. So another query. If we see the financial results for this quarter, again the profitability has improved. If we also see the operating expenses, that has also dipped by a greater margin. So means it's an aberration or it will continue to be in the same line?
So like we said that this is a broad trend because of the density of compute going up, where the percentage of data center cost as a revenue will hopefully continue to go down in the future as well.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, in order to ensure that the management is able to address the questions from all the participants, please limit your questions to one per participant. I repeat, please limit your questions to one per participant. Thank you. The next follow-up question is from the line of Aditya Trivedi from Nippon Capital. Please go ahead.
Hi. Yeah, just in terms of capex, you're obviously not giving any forward guidance in terms of the amounts, but if you could just give us the mix in terms of equity and debt that you all should follow going forward in terms of your capex.
See, like any kind of equity raise, we will obviously inform the exchange before we kind of pursue that. So, and of course, we'll continue to use a judicious mix of internal accruals, equity, debt, vendor financing, all of them in various ways to kind of finance our CapEx.
That'd be in a ratio of 3:1, 4:1. What are your internally hypotheses?
Sorry to interrupt you, sir. I request you to come back for a follow-up question. Thank you. The next question is from the line of Pratik Chaudhary from Samarthya Capital. Please go ahead.
So for FY25, what's the bare minimum capex? Itna to hoega hi based on whatever assessment you have, and what is the current asset turn?
So that's again the same question. See, broadly asset turn wise, somewhere between 0.5 to 0.6, and it also depends on what sort of SKUs customers choose to deploy. So there is a lot of variation in terms of us not being able to kind of very accurately predict what is the asset turn. Now in terms of bare minimum, we don't have a kind of minimum number in our mind that okay, this should be at least done. So it is always based on the current demand in the pipeline, based on which we'll continue to make investments into the CapEx.
The asset turn has fallen from 0.7 to 0.5 to 0.6?
Yeah, somewhere between 0.5 to 0.6.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Richa from Equity Master. Please go ahead.
So thank you for the opportunity. I'm actually new to this industry and company. I just wanted to understand, beyond the hyperscalers, what are the entry barriers and, what would stop more players from coming into this space? Or do you think that the opportunity is big enough that, the pie is big enough for everybody to grow?
Yes, definitely the opportunity and the pie is big enough for a lot of players to exist in the marketplace between various levels of value addition that various players could do. And I think the main kind of not, I would not say a barrier to entry, but the main way in which people, in which the competitors or the players in a particular market differentiate in this particular market is through the software. Now, in our case, we have been kind of been writing our cloud software for good part of the last decade. And on the cloud GPU itself, we have been working for last almost 4 or 5 years. So we believe that that gives us the head start in terms of understanding the customer needs and having helped a lot of customers with a lot of problems. It gives us a leg up in terms of understanding okay, how to kind of build it.
So would it need a lot of client servicing or engaging with client, or in that sense, would it require some kind of skill?
This is a product business. So it doesn't mean a lot of client servicing. So this is ultimately not a services business which is dependent on the number of people, but it's a product business which depends and relies on the capabilities of an engineering team which works in tandem So where is trying to understand from the customer that, okay, what is it that they are trying to achieve? And obviously, one part is to build a solution based on the current technologies and the solutions that we have, and then continue to help the business identify all those gaps, and then fill up those gaps in terms of build out of new features and new software and kind of like new integration.
Okay. And so my second question is that,
I request you back for a follow-up question.
Sure.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Kishjit Saraf from Tusk Investments. Please go ahead.
Thank you. So, Tarun, just to get a sense of your overall vision for E2E now, obviously we have the GPU offerings and we have the softwares around. So, do you plan to keep evolving the softwares around the increased hardware requirements that come up? Is that something, when we think of E2E 5 years, 7 years down the line, is this something which you'll be continue doing, or do you have sort of another...
Product development is like a continuous process, because like the cloud world, and especially like a rapidly evolving field like AI, ML, like changes and constantly evolve. So which means that the software that we do will have to constantly evolve. So that is something that is not going to change. And then like obviously to kind of like solve like adjacency of the problems that we are solving today, like we kind of like continue to build more features. So for example, if let's say there are X number of customers in a market, and today our software is able to service like say Y percentage of those, obviously you keep pushing the envelope from Y to X, and also to figure out like in adjacent countries or adjacent geographies or any other adjacency, that whether how you can easily expand into another market by building new software. So like we are big believers in that, and like we will continue to do that.
Okay. And in terms of vertical specific softwares, are you planning to go deeper in on specific verticals? How is the plan there?
So obviously there are about like 40-50 different paths. Like so the number of workloads that can be using AI ML in different ways, and the foundational technologies needed for those is like a very large set of software. So we'll continue to kind of like evolve our software game into all those areas.
Okay, understood. Thank you so much again.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Hardik Satya, an individual investor. Please go ahead.
Yeah, congratulations, Tarun, on the stellar set of numbers.
Yeah, thanks, Hardik.
So my question is related to the capex that we did last year of 185 crores approximately. What is the status of deployment? Have we done the deployment completely up to April, or was it done up to March or up to May, so that we can get some MRR clarity?
See, broadly, the entire deployment was done by, I think, like somewhere around end of March or maybe first week of April. So almost all of that is done. Deployment means that like it is available on our cloud for the customers to be able to use.
Correct.
And in terms of MRR conversion, like the overall inventory that we acquired, including this, as of today, like from that inventory, we have utilized about like say, including all the other inventory, like we utilized like overall like about like 90% plus of the inventory.
Yeah. So given a 90% utilization, and in the near future, do you see...
We have also mentioned in our presentation that like we are already in the process of acquiring another 256 H100s, which would go live in this quarter.
Okay. So given the forecast for the near term, if money or funding was not a problem or a challenge, what would ideally be the demand that you are foreseeing? So would it be to the quantum of 800,000 or maybe 2,000 crore also?
So that results in like people misquoting me as like a formal announcement that okay, this is what these guys.
No, I would not take it as an announcement.
I'll not take that bait this time, and I will say that like let's wait and watch. We'll keep everyone informed of our plans as they get formalized, and we'll
But I can take that much that you are seeing a good future ahead, and there is a significant demand is what I can take from your reply.
Yeah. So over like a medium term, long